Hey, everybody. Michelle is back on this Sunday, 10/22/2023. Hope everybody's doing good like they know they should and handling their business. I wanted to come back and talk about, let me go ahead and talk about GMOs just to get that out of the way. Okay, this is going to be a storytelling, all right? Storytelling, which means it's going to have sprinkles of abstract, sprinkles of maybe conspiracy theories, sprinkles of this or that or the other, but you're responsible, if you choose to cultivate it, contemplate, properly meditate, but don't ruminate. How about that? So, what I've been taught about GMOs is that you really, if you choose to, you need to stretch your imagination and do everything in your power to suspend your ego, suspend your beliefs, and not take things personal, but look at it at an impersonal stance, while you are grounded in your reality and you are considering all your sensing, which is what you hear, see, feel, all taste, and smell, all those things. If you choose to make decisions that you ought to avoid at all costs, rushing through decisions or rushing to respond back to someone, turning a conversation or a discussion into arguing and debating. Okay. I told you a while ago that that our ancestors are foreigners. And what does that mean? That means that they came from another planet. How about that? Okay. And a lot of people have been saying this for years and decades, but somehow, because we're not remembering things properly, we're not using our consciousness properly, that type of information is, it becomes scattered and because we put too many things into fantasy and imagination instead of looking at it in a concrete, if you can. Okay, if you can. But, you have to stretch your imagination, and meditation, no thought meditation helps that. Helps to allow things to come into you so that you can properly discern it. Okay, and each one of us have different levels of doing that. So I said, some of us come from this Sirius, some of our ancestors come from the Sirius constellation or the Sirius star and other parts of the universe. And this has been going on for millions of years, by the way. In other words, there have been numerous human beings coming back and forth to this planet for millions of years. Okay, but the problem is that they can come into our space, but we cannot at this time get out of our soul system, regardless of what anyone tells you. Okay, we cannot. We don't have the technology because we rather focus on what? Weapons and war, conquering and destroying people, and worrying about what's in their bed, who's in their bedrooms, and who they're fucking. That's what we rather do than to conquer. And you don't need to conquer space. You're supposed to explore it and discover it, right? So, and I told you several human beings from that Sirius constellation left this highly developed, highly conscious star planet. Now, why would anybody do that? Well, I told you they didn't have a choice, because if they had stayed around, they would have been eliminated, because they were essentially modified to be a fighting machine or fighting soldiers to assist that planet, because that planet, in their ignorance, caused themselves, due to manipulation as well, to be unable to defend themselves from other people coming onto their planet. Okay, and I also said that these fighting soldiers, which were human beings, by the way, had their lifespan shortened to 100 years. Okay, and whereas their lifespans were, I think, an average of 1,000. Now, keep in mind, all because you have a lifespan of 1,000 years doesn't mean you're gonna live to 1,000 years. You can die at 5 years and never make it to 1,000 years. So consider that. You got to think. You can think literally, but you need to imply figuratively and metaphorically abstract thinking sometimes. Stretching your imagination above all of that. So I said today, some of our ancestors, millions and millions of years ago, thousands of years ago, is irrelevant because, we're here now. How about that? And that's where we need to really focus on and be grounded is here and now, and not get lost in our fantasies and imagination and go unconscious and stay unconscious. So I told you, several groups. There were several groups of 144s, the 144 210s. There were several groups of the 144,000s. Okay, some that were coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I told you that some had decided to branch off into their own groups. In other words, they all had a mission, but some decided to have their own group, like religion, for example. A lot of people have their own religion, whether it's Catholic, Baptist, blah, 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 same concept. Whereas instead of being together and collectively, they decided, okay, we need to branch off because I don't like the way you're running this. We're going to run our own. That happens. Okay? And I'm going to go into that a little bit more at some time. So, again, some of our ancestors came from the Sirius constellation. That will not be revealed or told officially for I don't know how long in the future. If the future is an if, okay, based on prophecies and predictions. I'll go into that another time. So, those human beings that essentially escaped because, again, they were going to be eliminated, destroyed, because they were modified to be what they were, and the ones created them for a purpose only to fight and protect their planet from adversary other planets coming in that were, because there's very, very high levels of people out there, human beings out in the universe, out of our solar system, and we won't know that until we get out of our solar system. And I told you, we cannot, no matter what NASA says or any of these other so-called billionaire space travelers. Okay, it's almost comical, really, if they consider what's really, really going on. Okay, and they think they're hiding something, but they don't realize that, the joke is going to be on them. And who is them? Those in the pyramid that are the ones that are encasing this planet in negativity because of their behaviors and actions. That, like I said, that includes politicians, those in religion, those in private businesses, blah, 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 all of that. So our ancestors were modified. Now, what does that mean? They had their genes manipulated to shorten their lifespan and to cause them to be more aggressive and fighting fighting soldiers, fighting machines. The same thing that they're attempting to do with AI, if you didn't know. They're attempting to do the same thing. Create fighting machines to fight their wars instead of using human beings. And what's going to happen is those fighting machines are going to turn on to the human beings. The same thing that happened in the Sirius star constellation. So the Sirius people or human beings realized that when they modified these other human beings to be their fighting machines, that they were becoming more and more and more aggressive. And so they were becoming afraid of them. Does that sound familiar? They're a threat. So they were making arrangements to eliminate them word got out that that was their intentions, and so our ancestors escaped, and they were traveling across the vastness of the universe, and some of them ended up here. Okay, and they've been here ever since. We are their descendants. Okay, so when these our ancestors came here, they mixed with human beings that were already here for other various reasons, and I'll get into that at a later time. So, again, our ancestors do come from other planets. That is not going to be revealed for some reason. I don't know why that would be a secret. Well, but I do know why, because it's a need to know basis. Okay, everything is a need to know. They don't need to know. No one has to know. They don't want you to know. Okay, they don't want you to know your history because what? They'll be afraid of you like they are now. Oh my God, we're scared that, that certain groups of people are a threat to them. Well, wait until they realize what they've done with AI. Okay, because that's their intention as well, to create fighting machines and so-called protect us from this and that and the other. And I told you, anyone with high developed technology, which does exist, can come and go as they please. And our military, to them, is like our military is playing with Lego compared to their technology. Okay, we have that type of human beings on this planet that have been here millions of years that have highly, highly, highly technical capabilities. Those are the unidentified objects that most people have seen. Okay, and I told you their technology is high, and so they don't have a fear necessarily of our military at all. They have no fear of our military. Okay, so again, our ancestors were genetically modified. Okay, so there are certain scientists that know that. They know that we have been genetically modified, meaning in our DNA, our lifespans were shortened. Some scientists know that can be reversed. Okay, they know that, but they're not sharing it. They only want to share it with certain people, and that's the downfall. Okay, because they don't understand that there are certain people on this planet that have been here, that brought in certain technologies, some from this area, some elsewhere, which is irrelevant because I say it's irrelevant because if we can't get out of our solar system, you won't know that. Okay, but there are certain scientists that know that our genes were manipulated, and they know that all they have to do is reverse it, and they know how, which will increase the lifespan. But I say to this, whether you live 100 years or 1,000 years, if your planet is destroyed, what is the purpose of expanding lifespans? And then to consider for only certain type of people. Okay, again, our scientists may not know this, or they may know it, but there are carriers of hereditary properties also on this planet, and they are they're colored people or black people, and nobody wants to hear that, and they don't understand how dangerous it is to manipulate the carriers of hereditary properties. Okay, so if they think that they can eliminate that, all they're doing is committing suicide. In other words, causing their own race of people to become extinct. Okay, so there's a lot of secret, hidden hand individuals, I guess if you want to call them that. They're acting inhumane to me, but they still are human beings. But their behaviors and actions are inhumane because they're attempting to create designer human beings that will eventually turn on everybody, including them. You remember Frankenstein, right? the fable, or I don't know, that they created this Frankenstein monster. He was turning out fantastic at, not fantastic, but he was performing okay, and he appeared to be functioning properly until something happened and he turned on all of them. Okay, he turned on all of them. So the same thing is going to happen with us in the future. Make sure everything's clean. Yeah. The same thing is going to happen to us in the future because we're manipulating. And when I say we are, I'm saying certain individuals that, some of them call themselves scientists. Some of them call themselves innovators. Some of them call themselves trailblazers. They, whatever they're calling themselves, but they're doing it in secret. Why the secrecy? It's like a hidden agenda. Because yes, they've cloned animals. You don't think they've cloned human beings? So we just really, really need to be really careful with our language when we say certain things, whether we mean it intentionally or not. When you're saying that you're clones and that you are cloning and you need a clone and all this and that and the other. Let me look it up real quick. So now, like I said, our ancestors, which includes their descendants, we are their descendants, were genetically modified. Okay, now you're asking, so what I want you to contemplate and think about is, I know a lot of people are against genetically modified foods. Okay, what I want you to consider though is if our planet, okay, if they are conducting secret nuclear experiments, that means what? They are contaminating our water and our ground, which means our food source. Okay, and they've been doing that for decades upon decades. I say well before nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs were used in Japan. Okay, so because we are organisms, as human beings, we're considered an organism, right? So we're biological. Okay. We're organisms. We are. It is a biological living system. So we are biological living systems. So and we also are ancestors of genetically modified human beings, which means that we are a part of that. That's why we can't go past 100 years right now. Some can, like 200 years, living 200 years, 300 years, that's not possible now. But it could have been secretly done with other human beings, just like cloning and everything else. But the only problem is that this planet here, planet Earth, is the only planet that can support our type of organism, so to speak, our type of biological design. No other planet can, because we did not evolve our consciousness. Okay, so we are a threat to the universe per se, but the universe knows how to protect themselves from us. Okay, it's like I said, our military is Lego to them. It's like like a game, actually. Okay, and so our military is ignorant, their behavior is ignorant if they think they can go up against these highly developed human beings that are a part of our planet. They're a part of our planet. Now, like I said, our military is considered Lego, which is, like a game to them. Okay? And so, on top of what you may see in the skies when you see something that that looks unusual to you, and because of the maneuvering and such, keep in mind our military has something similar, right? Let's put it this way: some militaries, how about that, have the same same things. Um, but they don't. But for some reason, that's a secret too. So I don't know. I mean, why? What's the secrets about? That's the part I don't get. So chances are you may see stuff up there that belongs to this planet. Well, let me be more specific. Belong to our military. Okay, how about that? I said it. Okay, whatever. Prove it. Right? Is what they'll say to me. Prove it. Well, I don't need to. Time will tell. So what I want you to understand is that we are genetically modified human beings, which will be disclosed sometime in the future. Maybe our descendants will finally get the truth of that. Okay? Which means that we had to be, which we were manipulated originally. And there's other manipulations that went on, but I just want to focus on this right now. Manipulations were in place via our DNA to shorten our lifespan and make us more aggressive. And the whole intentions of the Sirius constellation is that at some point, our ancestors would eliminate themselves via fighting and arguing and blah 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 blah. But I guess they did not understand the structure of this planet when there's carriers involved, and I won't get into that no more than that. So my point is, if our food is poison, which it is, that's why there's a certain look of people that are developing that look similar, because they are infused with a lot of chemicals to kind of distort their appearance, whether it gives them, have them obese in some cases, having these what they call them, lifestyle diseases, all of that, where they say, well, you can control it. I don't know. I mean, you can control it if you stop eating the chemicals. Yes. So what's the alternative to eating? What's the alternative to eating chemicals and not eating chemicals? You have to genetically modify it. So our foods have to be genetically modified. Otherwise, all we're going to do is eat poison for the rest of our lives and eventually die from what they call lifestyle changes or lack of. Okay? So consider it. Because I'm going to throw this out here, and this is either the truth, this is either a conspiracy theory, or science fiction. But the avocado. Let me tell you about the avocado. Let me pull it up and see what it says about it. So the avocado, as I've been taught, the avocado is actually came from another planet and was genetically modified in the beginning to be served to animals, but then it somehow started filtering into diet of humans. The avocado. Okay, let's see what it says here. They say it's a native of the Americas. It was domesticated in Mesoamerican more than 5,000 years ago. Okay, they call it, it's an oily fruit. It's similar to a pear. But as I've been taught, the avocado is considered it came from another planet. How about that? But it was genetically modified to fit the diet of the biological organisms on this planet, which includes animals and humans. Okay? Is that science fiction? Let's see if any scientists would want to tackle that. So it was genetically modified to fit the diets of our ancestors and thus, the current descendants. And that's the favorite of a lot of people. But it's a genetically modified quote unquote fruit. Okay, so and people love it. Right? I don't think anybody would eat any food without it. All right. So again, we just need to stretch our imaginations a bit, if you choose to, and stretch our fantasies a little bit and go abstract a little bit and consider if the food that we're currently eating on this planet, on the grounds of this planet, is poisoned by nuclear weapons, secretly deployment of nuclear weapons, which has been going on for over 50 years, probably over 200. Let's throw my family's years in there. 200. The food that we eat is poison. The water we drink is poison. The air we breathe is poison. Okay, so you're going to have to be creative and do what? You can create genetically, safely create and cultivate genetically modified fruits, vegetables, meat, blah, 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 in safe confinements. It's being done secretly. Okay, and we need to insist on scientists that are cultivating this kind of thing. Let them talk a little bit more about why it needs to be done, and how they could have been comparatively, in a comparable basis of our food versus theirs, and which is more safe to eat and consume. Okay, so genetically modified food is going to be necessary if our descendants, ourselves and our descendants, do not starve to death. Because we all know that our fruits and vegetables are not the same. I saw someone even post it. The fruits and vegetables are, I was just so disappointed. And I went to several different stores. I remember when I was traveling over here, I stopped in several different places in several different states looking for some good tasting fresh food, or more so fresh fruit, because I love fresh fruit. And I kept having that bitter aftertaste of chemicals in my mouth from all of it, no matter how much I washed down the fruit. Okay? So put that in your ear and consider that avocados were from another planet. How exciting is it to hear that? And I also told you that this one planet that unfortunately destroyed itself in 2007 because of overpopulation, they were coming back and forth to Earth as well, picking up, because they were attempting to find ways to feed their planet. So they were taking fruits and vegetables from here. But unfortunately, they destroyed themselves. Well, they destroyed themselves, the majority of them, in the billions. Well into the billions. I think 120 billion of them. And then some were saved, but, that's... Anyway, so just consider what I just said and put it in your ear, but and cultivate it, contemplate it, properly meditate, but don't ruminate on it. Okay, I told you the damage has been done. If you stop eating avocados, so what? It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the history and the origin of it. Okay, now hopefully a scientist will come forward and confirm it. Okay, so I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to talk about it some more at a later date, but a lot of people just have to accept, or if you choose to, you don't have to accept nothing. Everything's free will. Okay, but you can do things silently in a silent revolution where nobody has to know. Because I don't know, in most cases, we have no idea what people are thinking anyway. Their behavior and action usually will illustrate that for us. And that's usually because people are unconscious. But if you're conscious, and you're cultivating things and thinking about things, you'll be surprised what will open up for you. Your consciousness and thoughts, your memories, the storage banks, whatever will open up for you and allow you to investigate, have a discovery, have an adventure. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to say peace and love to all out there. And trust me, I'll be back.